consumer thinks they're getting an Amazon-esque experience where I press the button and I can leave a deposit and I can reserve the car. When they then go in next morning to talk to a salesperson, they're still waiting for the telephone call or the post-it note or the email to come across, and that's no good.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Armchair Show. I'm joined by three people, two with the exact same name, which is going to be make it an interesting show. But I will hand it straight over initially to Andy, because Andy is you're a long-term guest, aren't you? You were on the very first Armchair Show.
Very first, yeah, in London.
We were just trying to work out when that was, but it was
before you had this fantastic studio.
It was, yeah. This wasn't even a thing, was it? So, but welcome back, Andy. So, for people who can't remember, who are you and what do you do?
Andy Whitehair, I'm contestant number one, and I am CEO of a automotive tech business called Autofinity, and we produce vehicle and parts accessory solutions to get vehicles and parts online as quickly and simply as possible.
That's succinct. As succinct as it was last time. Harry number one. I'll try and call you that. Keep my mind on the right Harry.
So I'll be number one.
You'll be number
Okay.
one.
Oh, great. That's the first time I've ever been number one. So.
We'll see. We won't say which one's best. We'll let everyone else decide that. But Harry, where have you come from? What's your role?
So I'm from Rhino Group. I'm the strategy and development director there. And at Rhino Group, we are an automotive marketing and events agency. And yeah, just really happy to be here. It's our first time, unlike yourself, our first time here. So really excited for the opportunity.
No, appreciate you coming. Harry too.
Yeah. So same as Harry, work for Rhino Group. So I'm sales director for Rhino Group. Look after the sales and client relationships for the business. Previously been at a few other places before then as well, but always been within the automotive space. But yeah, as Harry number two, I'm looking forward to today, and thank you very much for having us as well.
I appreciate it. Let's start with positive stuff, I suppose, really, and get your thoughts on what's the industry doing well at the moment, off the top of your head. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say that?
First thing that comes to mind is people in the industry. So I think our people are very resilient. I think with everything that the industry has been throughout COVID, and then also the backlash that we've seen in terms of supply chain, in terms of used cars, especially with margins being reduced, it's tough out there. So I think, actually, I know you asked for a positive thing, but I think actually what we've shown is that we have resilient people, and I think that's the most important part of any business, not just in automotive. So that would be my take on it.
Have you seen that change over the years? Is it something that's developed, do you think, in terms of...
Well, I think people have certainly changed in our industry. I think we're getting a lot more people interested in our industry from outside of automotive. And I also think that dealer groups as well have started to recruit people outside of the industry as an actual choice. I think COVID, there was a bit of a kind of a washout of people that are almost not into the industry or didn't want to work 6 days a week, etc. And now we've started to attract a different type of people from different industries, and actually I think that is is really helping us to think in different ways and innovate and bring different points of view and different systems innovations into the market. So I think it's a positive thing.
What about you, Harry? What do you think?
So touching on what Harry said, I think resilience as well, because there's been a lot of issues within the marketplace coming out of COVID, the stock issues, but I think overcoming a lot of those hurdles as an industry, I think they've done really well with that, and I think they've helped themselves. We've helped ourselves, and our client base has as well, with the adoption of technology within that field as well. I see the traction in that now really kicking on even further over the next couple of years. It's took a while for the industry to use technology compared to other sectors, but I think now we're really starting to see that momentum build into it after COVID and the adoption of technology within our sector as well.
Anything specific in technology that's caught your eye?
I think for us, obviously AI is always such a subject across every sector and every industry, especially with automotive. It's been talked about for probably 5-6 years now almost, but now we're really starting to see that come to fruition with the likes of stock inventory AI. You've got the live chat AI tools as well within there, but I think we're really starting to see that kick on and move forward. But I'd say like the AI element of automotive sector is really starting to get on now.
Yeah, it's difficult to not go down a rabbit hole with AI, and we haven't really spoken about it much on this show, to be fair. So it's definitely worth touching on a little bit. I guess what's interesting from my perspective is that AI, as we know, is threatening to really disrupt certain industries, like filmmaking, for instance. You know, we've probably all seen these AI-generated videos from ChatGPT, Sora recently. That's scary for that industry. Is it the same thing for automotive, do you think, Andy? From your perspective, seeing AI develop in the way it is in other sectors? Because whenever I speak to guys like yourselves from the automotive arena, you don't seem quite as frightened by it, if that makes sense. Is that a fair assumption, do you think? Or?
I don't think we've really seen. I don't think we've seen a scary implementation of AI within the automotive industry yet. I think some people are probably quite rightly concerned. What we know is that tech systems can remove the drudgery and the repetitiveness of roles, which is unfortunate for some people who are doing those roles, unless they want to get out of that drudgery. And AI will continue to eat into that and speed it up. My feeling is that we're implementing AI within our applications, and we know others are. You mentioned chat, for instance. That's probably one of the first places that AI has landed within automotive, although that's not necessarily automotive specific. And I think AI will probably come in via systems like ours, i.e. almost subtly. So people don't necessarily need to know that how the system is using AI. They will just know that AI or the system is making some very smart, very quick decisions that perhaps would have been much harder without AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's assistive tech, isn't it, really?
Yes.
It's not there necessarily to replace everyone. But I think it's positive to hear, like you said, there's not been a scary implementation of it. Do you guys agree? How do you...
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, there's a lot of progress to be made there. But yeah, my take on AI is, we all used to, like, as human beings, we used to work physically, like with our hands. We used to make things, and then recently, we have to, work with our minds, and now with AI, it's almost like you're kind of removing the mind element, because what it is doing is enabling you to actually perform tasks at a much greater service and a much higher level, and you can actually more focus on delivering with your heart. So actually, if you look at it as a threat, then actually you're not taking advantage of it. If you look at it in a different way and see it as an enabler, then actually it's really exciting for our space. Like you said, we start with chat, but I'm sure there's going to be much further innovations that come with AI in our industry, and we should be excited about it and we should embrace it.
Yeah, like I say, running away from it isn't the thing to do, is it? And going back to what you were saying, Harry, about tech being one of the things that you've been most excited about, is have you got any examples of that in terms of things that you've seen that have been implemented by people in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a wide variety of tech platforms out there, and obviously the aim of the game is to help our sector out fundamentally. But yeah, difficult question, but I think there's that many out there, and they're all performing in different elements of the business. It can start from workshop, it can start from sales, it can start from chat on websites, it can be anywhere. But I think the tech platforms out there in the automotive are strong. But the one thing that we are starting to see, because we've probably been left behind in previous years from other sectors, and I think now, like I mentioned before, is where we've started to adopt that technology within the automotive space quite recently. But yeah, I think now we are starting to see that cog turn quite rapidly now with the onboarding of tech across all our client bases and across the automotive sector at the moment.
Where can the industry improve, Andy? It's been a while since we last spoke, and we've asked you this question probably twice before, two or three times before, but things change so quickly. Is there anything more recently that you can think of where, not necessarily around tech, but anything you can think that needs improving, with some examples?
That's a big open question there,
It's a
Mark.
very big open question.
I'm going to start with tech. What we're seeing actually is you were talking, Harry, too, about the increased adoption of tech. Actually, we've been doing some work on a consultancy base with some big dealer groups, where some of the big dealer groups have found themselves with hundreds of applications across the group, and that's sometimes caused by consolidation, acquisition of other groups that have got different tech. Sometimes it's where it hasn't been centrally controlled and individual managers have brought in tech in their business. And so I think we're now starting to go through a phase of consolidation of the applications, i.e. what the hell have I got first? That's where we're coming in and doing consultancy on, let's look at the applications you've got, how you're being used, what the flow is, because we're all about speed to market. So usually speed to market is broken or there's friction built in because of people having to enter things or systems not talking to each other. And some of the big dealer groups are now asking us to help them identify what they've got, what they need, and how to get more efficiency out of the money they're spending on tech. And I think AI will be part of that as well. Of actually, AI will allow businesses to run more effectively and more efficiently by automating.
Yeah. Guys, Harry too, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as Andy touched on there, the systems sometimes struggling to talk to each other in consolidation. I think the integrations element of the industry lacks quite a bit of systems not talking to each other. And I think as Andy's doing there with the consultancy kind of thing, that's something we're adopting as well at the moment with a lot of our clients, that consolidation of bringing multiple applications that can actually be done by one tool itself and can stop that kind of headache that a lot of our clients and the sector is seeing. There's a lot of stress around that of they've got multiple solutions that can really do the same thing if they take a step back and look at it as a kind of.
That's been mentioned so many times.
Yeah.
Is this an unfixable problem? Because you've mentioned it. I can think of several guests who've come on this show and said that the problem with systems not talking to each other.
Yeah,
which sounds archaic to me. I mean,
Yeah,
why is this still a problem?
It's a difficult one, and it is usually the elephant in the room of most conversations we have, especially with our tech platforms. Is the integrations from some tech platforms can be very open to that, whereas some are not. And I think that's one
Very
element
diplomatic,
where, I've got to be. I think some are open, some are not. Yeah. And I think as we want to help our client base out, and sometimes it's a difficult conversation to have with other applications.
Harry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, on a similar topic with the systems, when systems don't talk to each other, when there's a lack of integration, what that results in is all of our clients and dealerships investing in resource in terms of people to generate more sales. And really what businesses should be focusing on is generating more sales per sales exec. And if you can do that, then you're onto a winner. Whereas actually at the moment, what you find is there's a lot of salespeople, and to fix a problem, that is what you do. Just add more resource, add more people. Really, what you should be investing in is your systems, your integrations, your marketing, in really promoting your brand and promoting your services and your products that you have, and making it easy for people to interact with you and buy with you. I think giving customers the option to be able to communicate and operate with you in the way that they want to operate, not in the way that you're forcing them to operate in. And I think that's one of the parts of our industry that we can certainly improve, is that whole customer journey and experience. And there's most certainly companies out there within our industry that are doing this, and are really investing heavily in it. But then actually, there's a lot.
Any examples of that? You want to name any names?
You can look at the likes of the newer entrants into the market that have gone, started completely online and then have kind of gone for like hybrid approaches like Kazoo and Cinch and things like that. They've really focused on. Almost focused and looked at themselves as a product to customers and consumers, and have completely changed the way that consumers interact with car dealers. And there's plenty of positives in terms of the customer relationship that we can all learn from. It's an interesting one to have a look at, because obviously we know how much they've invested and how much money that they have to spend to raise their brand awareness, because they're brand new into the market, and not every kind of dealer group, franchise dealer group or independent dealer can replicate that, because they don't have the funds and budgets to do it. But there's certain things that you can learn from them, like the customer experience that they give, the way that they allow customers to interact with them, being able to offer online and offline services, kind of combining the online and offline to present a really good and slick customer journey.
I guess a lot of this is being influenced by some of the brands as well. So you've got Tesla have come into the market. You've got Polestar, BYD, all these other traditionally tech brands who are taking the kind of Apple / almost an Amazon buying approach to cars. That must have shaken things up a lot, Andy, in terms of the more traditional brands that have been around for many years, decades. How do you think that's impacted the industry with the likes of Tesla coming in and saying, no, this is how you buy a car now, and it's completely different from anything anyone has ever done before?
It's interesting you ask that, Mark, because I belong to quite a lot of associations and automotive associations, and I sit in rooms of senior execs, and nobody mentions Tesla ever. Because of the difference in the business model.
Okay, is that because they're scared of it? Do you think?
No, it's because they don't have they don't have a network,
right?
And therefore, most of the conversation, even with us, is going to be around dealers and dealer groups. One of our customers is Jaguar Land Rover, and you may have noticed this week they've just announced a pullback from agency, which is it's not the same as Tesla, but it's moving in that direction. And then that goes on the back of Stellantis and VW all going, maybe we're rushing into this and changing too quickly. So it's definitely having an impact. I think the other things from... I just want to pick up on something that Harry once said. I won't keep calling it.
I like it. Keep it coming.
I'm sure you do.
The offline, online. I mentioned about some of the consultancy, and we were... One of the things that we provide is a consolidation of reserves, used car reserves or new car reserves online, and those what dealer groups are starting to open their eyes to is that reserve can happen anywhere. It could happen offline. Someone comes in, is a test drive a reserve? Am I, putting my stamp down saying I'm quite interested in this used car because I'm test driving it, or I've actually put some money down and deposit. Then you've got their own website that's got a reserve. Yep. Auto Trader's got a reserve. So we were having a discussion about how the tech could handle the different inputs of a reservation. But actually, most of the work is being done offline, and it's being done 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 with telephone calls, bits of paper, emails. And so we were going, hang on, these guys, this doesn't work. The consumer thinks they're getting an Amazon-esque experience where I press the button and I can leave a deposit and I can reserve the car. When they then go in next morning to talk to a salesperson, they're still waiting for the telephone call or the post-it note or the email to come across, and that's no good. I do think this is an area where the industry is way behind. I mentioned earlier on, one of the things that we facilitate is online accessory sales. And that's a great place to start. I've gone the traditional journey. I got involved in new cars and then used cars, and now I'm more involved in parts and accessories. We all know that that's sort of how things are treated. And you look at any dealer group's parts and accessories site, and normally you click through 15 buttons and eventually it says fill in the form and contact us. Yeah. It's 2024.
Terrible experience.
Talk to you? I don't think so. I want to press a button and have it delivered to my house, please.
And how many customers are just disappearing at that point?
Absolutely.
Drop-off must be horrendous.
That is exactly my point. Is you've put it really well there. Customers think they're getting this Amazon type of service. So on the front end, actually, we're really good as an industry of making things look shiny and nice. But actually in the background, there's a load of people that are working together to deliver that with fragmented systems that don't talk to each other, with paper-based systems that are still going on within our dealer groups and dealers at the moment. So, it's a really, really interesting way of putting it, to be honest. From the front end, the customer is kind of getting a good service. We do give customers a really good service in our industry, but actually we work really hard to do it. And if we just put a bit more investment into the systems, like Harry said, work on the integrations, focus on that, then I'm sure we could give our customers a good service, but also help ourselves in regards to operating costs and the kind of enjoyment that our people in our industry are also having.
Another point that Andy touched on, which is really relevant, is our industry spends fortunes on the experience and making sure everything looks shiny and great at the front, but then we take them to a form fill at the end, and it's like you've spent all that money, but you've took them to a really poor experience at that point of capturing the customer details, where the drop-off rate is huge. Our most appointment form fills haven't changed since the internet began. They've never changed. And one thing that we're trying to develop at the moment, and we have done, and we use it for a lot of our services, is actually a digital platform which not only just is a form fill, because the form fills, the data capture, we actually give more information when we want to book a table reservation at a restaurant than when someone's buying a car, because we tell them the time we're going to come to the appointment. Most form fills in our sector do not do that. It's a case of you have to have a salesperson call you back, and sometimes may not happen. Whereas without some of our platforms we've launched at the moment, it's like your model, it's like your time, it's like the salesperson you want to deal with, because you may have dealt with that person before, and the quality of the lead is a lot more qualified, which means the conversion rate jumps a lot higher. So yeah, you need to make sure, throwing all that investment in, making things look shiny, the whole integration, but when you're at that point of capturing the customer data, we really struggle, and that's where the drop-off rate is. So we need to perform that aspect a lot as well.
Yeah, don't throw it away after all that effort. It just doesn't make any sense. I've been through that process myself and got to the end and thought, just immediately, don't even think about filling it in, because normally there's 57 fields they want you to fill in, and that's just, I've got no interest in doing that. Talking about going back to the people side of things, actually, and talking about coming into the industry, it's always quite interesting to find out where guests have kind of started their journey. Andy, I know we've spoken about yours, but we'll start with you again, definitely. But can you just remind us of where you started? Just a very brief history of how you went from there to where you are now.
I'll also educate the Harrys a bit about the history of computing as well, because I started when you used to have to wind them up. So I started in computers. I started coding huge mainframe computers for banks. So I was in banking, finance, there's loads of money there, and stumbled into automotive when I joined Nissan, and I've managed to get out since. So my background's tech, and then I was lucky enough to work with more forward-looking businesses as the internet grew at the back of the 90s, and carried on that journey, and have ended up in managing tech businesses, Auto Trader, not managing the whole of Auto Trader. I ran a lot of the systems for Auto Trader, and then eBay, and ultimately Autofinity more recently.
But there's been that tech theme, hasn't there, really through?
Yeah.
Harry,
but sorry, if I should just add, because one of the things that's important, I think we're talking about it as well, because even though we've spent a lot of time talking about AI and systems, people keep popping up, and you're absolutely right. What's been important to me all the way through my tech life. In fact, I'll give you a hands-on example. I was part of Nissan, and we built a system in the 90s. We went over to Canada and copied a system from there, built it all, brought it back to the UK. And one of the things that we did was produce a report for the dealers to tell them when their stock was arriving. And I went and saw a dealer for the first time ever. As a techie, I went out to a dealer after we'd launched it, and went behind the ears. And I said, I noticed you pull up the report and print it off. He said, yeah, what I do is I print off your report, really useful, and I put it onto T-cards and put it on the wall, because that's how we look, because I can't see your report from all over the place. I can see the T-card. That's just a small example of you've got to make the tech useful for the people, otherwise you're
also, nothing's ever tested until you give it to a consumer.
No,
They'll always do stuff with the thing that you've made that you never thought of, which is fascinating, isn't it? Harry, have you got a thread running through your career journey, or is it?
So I've always been in automotive. I started off at PSA, as it was previously, now Stellantis. Started off as a placement student. I was doing computer science and business studies at uni. So I was doing kind of a technical support role in my placement year, and realised that is not what I wanted to do. And then I was invited back as a commercial graduate at Stellantis. So at first I worked in network development, making sure in the kind of CI department, making sure that all the dealers were complying with our corporate identity for Peugeot, Citroën and DS. And I was also part of the kind of DS launch as well in the UK. And then I moved over to Robinson Day, which is now Stellantis in you. It's the kind of retail arm of Stellantis. So back then there was probably 40 to 50 dealers. And I did various different marketing roles, but this was back in 2014. And that was when digital marketing was really starting to have an effect really on business performance. So it was perfect timing for me. So I was in a digital exec role, and then stayed with Robinson Day for 5 years, and ended up being head of marketing, having my own team there, and go through various different projects on there, operated on the board as well. And it was a fantastic experience. From there, I then moved over to Auto Trader in Manchester, where I looked after some of the largest clients like Marshall Group, Perry's as well, and Peter Vardy. And then moved into a product role where I was working on the Deal Builder e-commerce platform that Autotrader have now. And then from there, there was a fantastic opportunity with Rhino Group to lead the strategy. So taking all of that experience that I've had through, manufacturer to retailer to classified, Autotrader, using all of that industry knowledge, experience, a strategy role for me is just exactly where I want to be and what I want to do. It's very exciting things for Rhino Group. I think Rhino Group now is probably very different to what it was, especially 28 years ago when it was launched. But actually, most people know us for an events business. And we've done very, very well as an events business. But we are now diversifying our product range and services that we offer to our customers. And we like to, our CEO says that our customers, the relationship that we have with our customers is that we're basically a one-night stand. Our customers use us for an event for 4 days. We sell them a load of cars. We help them facilitate that, and then they might use us twice a year, but they're always coming back and they're just using us. And that's because
that's not your tagline, is it?
No, that's not it. That's not it. But we want to
automotive prostitute.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we've been for a while, for a long time. But actually, we've got more to give, and we want to have longer, stronger strategic partnerships. That's what we really want to focus on, and that's what I'm working on, which is bringing new products and services to our group, new businesses as well. We're setting up a new marketing agency this year, and we'll be bringing that to market. And we're very excited because I think there's a big opportunity, especially in the marketing agency space, for us to deliver real top quality, industry leading products and services. That's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, and your journey that definitely assists that, doesn't it? Having support and marketing and tech, etc., running through it. It's great. Harry, what about your journey?
Absolutely. So started off, I guess, as a toddler, not child labour, of course, but as a toddler. For a family business. So a family business was a company called Portfolio many years ago. It was acquired by Cox and almost rebranded into Modix at the time. So it's in my blood, I guess, in a way. Since then, worked at a live chat company which specialises in the automotive space. Worked for See It Now Group for many years, and then also a company. I was actually travelling at the time in South America and got a call from a Chinese number. I was looking at the bottom of Machu Picchu or something like that, I'm sure at the time. So I took it, and it was somebody saying, listen, we are from Auto Home in China. Wasn't really a time aware of who they were. And they said, we are looking for someone to come and kind of run our sales department for Yes Auto in the UK. We are going to come as an aggregate site and try and compete with the likes of the eBay Motors and Autotrader in the UK. Would I be up for the challenge? I was like, I will be, but at the minute, I've got a hike. I've got a long one to get up the hill.
Can you lead me to this first?
Yeah, absolutely. So joined them, and then COVID struck straight away. So I was with them throughout COVID. It was a difficult time for the company. They'd just invested in the UK. We tried to make it work as a business. We onboarded a lot of dealer groups in the UK and some OEM partners as well, advertised their stock on there. But at the time, it was a case of the Auto Home share price dropped and they pulled out the market. And I was living in London at the time. Got a phone call then from the owner of Rhino, would like to come and lead the sales operations at Rhino. And he really told me the story, because I've been aware of Rhino for many years, as a lot of people have in the industry. But at the time knew them for the events, but really got told the story by our CEO about how we want to evolve, and as Harry mentioned, that one night stand and the launch of the products, and how we can then start kind of shifting our focus into like the OEM. So at the moment, we're working quite closely with our OEM partners on running events nationwide, not just for the dealer groups and individual locations. So,
nice. Yeah. Two very fortunate calls then.
Absolutely,
completely out of the blue as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's great.
It's always interesting to see how people have progressed through the industry. I think it's quite inspiring for people who listen and watch to this, because there's no defined path, is there?
Absolutely.
All three of you have got very different paths. I suppose, Harry, yours is probably a little bit more linear, because you, like you say, right from the start. And I suppose yours is as well, to a degree. Yeah. But equally, I think you end up somewhere you perhaps didn't expect, don't you? That's the main thing. Just to wrap up on another positive thing, what's the main thing that is driving you at the minute, Andy? What's getting you out of bed in the morning with this industry?
It's probably on the same theme. It's supporting the transformation. So I think as we have a lot of the theme of this discussion is that the reason that we set up the consultancy is because we have built. It's interesting because you mentioned portfolio. So the background before Autofinity for me was Second Bite, which we sold to Auto Trader, and that was a direct competitor to Portfolio at the time. So we've been building systems for 20 years. We continue to build systems, continue to try and innovate, continue to try and increase speed to market, again, for parts, accessories, as well as vehicles. But then you can realise that a lot of the other things we're talking about, actually, a lot of the challenges are integrations, making it as easy as possible, bringing data into the same platform, making that seamless for the user, but also helping dealer groups to implement those changes. So it's all very good, as I mentioned earlier about the technology I built at Nissan, it's all very good having the very clever tech. And in fact, I would say now I've done the consultancy, I've realised that we have been pushing dealers to take more tech. They've got a lot of tech. What they now need to do is to get the tech working for them. Yeah. So that's what excites me, and how do we help both manufacturers and dealer groups to get more out of their money that they're spending.
Use this stuff, that's the main thing, rather than it sitting there.
Yeah.
Harry, what fires you up?
Yeah, I think what's motivating is all the challenges that we're facing in the industry, that especially the dealers and the manufacturers are facing. There's a lot of changes going on. Obviously, the mandates in terms of electric vehicles and targets that manufacturers need to hit, which then filters down through to the retailers. And there's a big challenge for them and how they're going to hit those targets and what they're going to do. So, in my role and in Harry's role, we need to come up with products and services and ideas that help retailers achieve those goals. Yeah. So for me, that's a big one. And the other changes such as agency model as well. For us, we've always had relationships with retailers, and retailers know that if they use Rhino Group, if they speak to Rhino Group, they're going to sell a lot of cars. That is what we have done. That's what we're well known for. Now we're building that relationship with OEMs, and especially the OEMs that are moving to agency model. We are working with them directly now because actually, retailers have been retailing cars now. Agents actually on an agency model, the manufacturers are in charge of that marketing budget and where that is spent. So they turn to us to understand how they can spend that in the most effective way and to generate all the sales and hit the targets that need to hit. So that is what excites me at the moment. All the change and us being there at the forefront, being able to adapt and be agile to help satisfy our customers, whether they're OEMs or retailers.
Nice. Harry?
Yeah, touching on what Harry said there as well. So a big focus of mine at the moment is these OEM relationships that we have as a group. The sales target now sits with them. So we're helping them hit their target. Previously, we were helping the dealer groups achieve theirs, but now we are working with our OEMs with events and with our technology platforms to help them hit their target. So for me, it's the change from to change into agency model is really what's exciting me at the moment. I know Andy touched on the JLR announcement the other day and not going down that route, but obviously there are a lot talking about it, and a lot will go onto that model. So it's how we can assist them moving forward as well, and that's something that we've been able to do with our 3 agency partners which we're working with at the moment.
Nice, big change in that case. One last quick fire question. Obviously, a new plate coming out very soon. What can dealers do to sell more new cars? That's the
Can I answer that one first?
So ask us.
Has to be quick fire.
Yeah, so for me, a sales event with Rhino will probably help it best.
I should have walked. I walked straight, Andy.
They've got to take the friction out of their business. They've got to find ways of making sure the information is put online as quickly as possible, and then the leads are followed up, and you connect omni-channel offline to online.
That's been a theme today, really, hasn't it? Definitely, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
you can't copy Harry's.
Well, I would be different. I would reiterate, if you've got a target to hit in terms of volume, then a sales event is the perfect way to do that. But using a supplier that can deliver the full journey from set up to all the equipment that you need, making the dealership look amazing, a different experience, giving the customer a really good experience, to all of the marketing, the tech platforms that you need to get people through the door, and having it joined up and attribution throughout the whole process. That's really what you should be focusing on, having that physical and digital combination. you're onto a winner then. And you'll
No,
sell a lot
no
of
big
cars.
forms either.
Yeah.
Yeah, the longest quickfire answer.
Yeah, I'll let him off. It's fine. Yeah. Guys, thanks so much for coming. Thanks for coming again, Andy. You're regular.
Always a pleasure.
And I'm sure both Harrys will have you on again
We'll
at
be
some
back.
stage. But
Amazing.
we appreciate it, Andy. Yeah, we'll catch you again soon. Cheers.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.